Greetings, everyone. Thank you for joining the webinar to discuss ASA and my candidacy for president. For those of you that don't know me personally, I'm Kathy Ensor, and for those many friends that are on the webinar, thank you for joining. So my plan was to go through just a few slides talking about ASA and reminding everyone of the great organization that it is, and then take time for questions. I understand we're all living through a really dynamic time. One thing that I've learned as a result of this is how to put in the virtual backgrounds behind me. So you'll notice that I lean over, you have a picture of the American Statistical Association building in Alexandria. So I hope everyone's doing well. And again, thank you for taking the time out of your day for this webinar. You can ask questions throughout through the chat if you'd like. I think if Sean is on board to help me, and she can interrupt me. And if you raise your hand, then I think we can give you we can unmute you, and then you have an opportunity to speak up, which we'd love to have. So let's make this as interactive as possible. All right, so I am a candidate for president of ASA, and voting began on Tuesday. We'll go through the month of April, sorry about that. And so most of all, I'm just really wanting to encourage people to vote, and hopefully you like what you see in me, but if not, the more important thing is just to register your voice with ASA. Let's see, how do I? All right, so just a little bit about ASA. So this is from the website for ASA. So ASA is about promoting the practice and profession of statistics, and we think of it as the big tent that incorporates both statistics and data science. We have a vision of a world that relies on data and statistical thinking to derive discovery and informed decisions, with the mission statement of promoting the practice and profession of statistics. So the makeup of ASA is approximately 50% academia, 40% business and industry, and 10% government. So the strategic plan that was revisited a couple of years ago, and I was actually on the board during the revisiting of the strategic plan, so I appreciated the opportunity to have input to the path forward for ASA. So we came up with a couple of fundamental themes. First was enhancing the diversity and breadth of our association, increasing the visibility of our profession, and ensuring the future of our profession. So sort of under the ideas of grow, educate, engage, and advocate. So if we think of grow, so there are a couple of really fundamental activities that the American Statistical Association does that maybe not all of us know about. One is the Leadership Institute. So that's been in place for maybe a decade or so. There's strong mentoring programs. Even myself as a young assistant professor probably survived in this profession due to the mentoring programs that were provided by ASA in my early years. And then there's ongoing professional development for all of us as we move through our careers. And ASA also funds a significant number of travel scholarships and awards, not just as a part of the International Prize in Statistics, but which is on the level of a Nobel Prize in Statistics, but also awards down to student awards to travel to conferences. So on the educate side, there are significant resources that are developed through ASA and distributed through ASA. ASA is heavily involved in the K through 12 activity of our nation, and in many different ways. On the engagement side, some of the activities that ASA has underway are the Stats Plus Stories, which is a wonderful podcast out of Miami University it's a weekly podcast, and I truly enjoy listening to the Stats Plus Stories. You can sign up to receive those via email, and that's what I do. So I do usually listen to them each week. There's a program a campaign program, This is Statistics, which tries to, it's an outreach activity to try to educate the broader society on what statistics does. The House of Statistics is a virtual library or museum for statistics, and this was one of the initiatives of President Barry Nussbaum. Barry was president during I was vice president during Barry's presidency campaign. And so the House of Statistics is a nice virtual place to go and learn about some of the history of our discipline. It certainly can grow as resources allow, but it is a virtual museum and not a brick and mortar museum. The Count on Statistics is again a program that helps build up the usefulness and the understanding of what statistics actually does. So on the advocacy side, so ASA has a strong science policy and advocacy effort, headed up by Steve Pearson, and Steve's just doing a great job with this. But the objective is to really reach out and on issues related to statistics and data privacy, data security, data quality, data availability, but anything having to do with policy. ASA has Steve, and then Steve has a couple of interns that help him. But their ASA is able to weigh in with a very heavy voice, very strong voice in terms of defending the perspectives of statistics and data. And then there's a science policy blog that is maintained, and also extensive resources for policymakers. So ASA provides many opportunities, and some of them that we may not actually understand go on because they're not within our realm of what we draw from. But the one thing that we should understand about ASA is it's a very large and complex organization. There is the ASA Data Fest, which is annual 48-hour competition of teams of undergraduates where they work to reveal insights into rich and complex data sets. There's an internship and fellowship program. For example, the policy fellowship helps usually recent PhD students really understand how to get engaged with government. And at ASA, at the joint statistical meetings, we've all seen the extensive data expo that's come on in the last few years. And I actually find that a very exciting part of JSM and always look forward to participating in it. There are also some accreditation programs. There's the GSTAT, Graduate Statistician, and the PSTAT, the accreditation for professional statistician. And I will have to admit that I'm not, I haven't gone through the accreditation process myself, but it is something that we should all consider doing, and it's a valuable resource for those that have. So I really want to point everyone to this fantastic article by Catherine Monty. She's Vice President of ASA, and she has written an excellent article on just sort of the organizational structure of ASA, the complexity of it, and how do you plug in, how do you understand what's going on, what's the difference between a committee and a section and a chapter, and I like that question, why does ASA have 3 presidents? And remember, the presidential appointments rotate between government, industry, and academia. And so I am the academic candidate. This year is an academic year or election, so I'm the candidate under the academic structure. But if you'd like to learn more about just sort of the general structure of ASA, this article is fantastic, as is Catherine herself. We overlapped on the board of it. It was just wonderful to get to know her. So, what is ASA? Well, we are ASA. ASA is the membership of ASA, and we organize ourselves in many different ways. So there's chapters, sections, interest groups. So chapters are our local communities. For example, I am a member of the Houston area chapter of ASA called HACASA. And then sections like the section on statistical learning and data science, or business and economic statistics, the section on risk, on defense. So roughly 27 sections and 9 interest groups. There's also student sections, so that's a nice flavor that's added to ASA so that we have a good outreach to students. We'd love to see that grow, and any ideas on how to help that grow are always welcome amongst the ASA leadership. So there's also a way to engage with ASA daily through the ASA Connect communications realm. And so I actually choose like a daily digest of communities that I've chosen to connect with through ASA. And so at the end of the day, I just get a summary of all of the email discussions that went on during the day. And so that's a nice way to stay plugged into the community. And then if you see something that's of interest to you, then you can drill down and follow that path, and even reach out to to our colleagues that are discussing whatever comment it is. So for example, there's a new community email that got started on COVID-19, and I know that we all as statisticians are just as human beings we're living and breathing this now, and the question is, what can we do with our professional skills to help in the global pandemic that we find ourselves in. But first and foremost, I would like to say that ASA, it is a very large organization with over 18,000 members, with many different activities that they do. And none of this would be possible without this fantastic professional staff, with Ron Wasserstein being the executive director. So as vice president, I truly enjoyed working with them, and with all of my engagement with ASA, they have always been there to help make my time more effective. So what does ASA do? So we definitely host a lot of conferences, and I've picked out some of my favorites. Some of them are new. The Symposium on Data Science and Statistics. So this is a emergence of what used to be called the interface between statistics and computer science. Being a faculty member at Rice University, we actually hosted the interface several years over the decades that it was in place. But ASA has brought that conference into their portfolio, and it's just a fantastic emerging conference in our profession. Of course, there's the joint statistical meetings, which are huge, right? So that's like 20 meetings within 20 meetings, let me see what I have on here. Okay, so there's actually a question here from one of the participants. Have any of the events officially been canceled due to the coronavirus? And so the ASA board is meeting today and tomorrow, and certainly ASA is paying attention to everything that's going on, and they will make the best decisions that they can and provide the type of support that they can to keep things going forward. I am not part of the board right now, so I'm not privy to those discussions, but I do know that they're actively reviewing those issues. On a similar note, I don't know how many of you actually participated in ENAR in March, but I was a registered participant of ENAR and a speaker in that annual meeting. And so they went virtual, and it actually ended up working out really well. I was pretty impressed with the ability to still engage with our community, and I learned a lot participating in ENAR this year in a virtual fashion, and maybe even more if I had gone in person, because if I had gone in person, I might have not spent as much time going to sessions and listening to the excellent talks that were presented. So we will get through this. We will do the best we can and see changing dynamics at the end of all of this. So we are all becoming much better at virtual opportunities, but nothing replaces the wonderful opportunity to get together in person. We just may have to see how that goes. So I think there'll probably be the JSM program has actually been delayed a little bit. I actually have a session that is part of the JSM program, which is why I know this. But I do expect that we will hear some path forwards within the next couple of weeks. But regardless, these are great meetings. There's a new conference, the Women in Statistics and Data Science, and I attended that a year ago, and it was just simply a wonderful experience. And it's not just for women, but it does focus a lot, brings a lot of female speakers to the table. And, but it was an excellent conference to attend. I would also like to point out this the Conference on Statistical Practice. So this conference by design is smaller, so I think it maxes out at about maybe 1,000 people. But this is really where your applied statistics and data science can come to the forefront, and it has been a conference that people have just really enjoyed being a part of. But ASA also publishes or co-publishes 17 journals, which is a lot. There may actually be some opportunity for additional journals in this space as our field evolves. And so, in addition to sort of the research-oriented journals, which I've listed here, and I borrowed these slides from ASA. So, like how well can I talk about ASA? That's one of the things that I want you to help me with as well. But we also have some of these journals and magazines that are more designed for a broader audience than the research articles. And I actually receive Chance and Significance, and then we all receive Amstat News, and I truly enjoy reading these articles. Okay, let's see. So here is just this is a screenshot of Amstat News from the website, so you can actually just view it virtually. And I personally like to read everything virtually these days, just to my environmental soul, save a few trees. But if you notice, if you go to this section of Amstat News, there is a link to all of the candidates for the board of directors, as well as all of the other candidates as well. All right, so a little bit about myself. So I was vice president of ASA from 2016 to 2018. And again, part of that time I spent updating the strategic plan. And so I was really happy to be a part of that conversation. For the past year, I've been co-chairing the ASA Ad Hoc Committee on Data Science with Mark Glickman at Harvard. And the committee report will be presented to the board today by Mark. And then I think there's additional time that the board will discuss our recommendations tomorrow. I don't want to speak directly to our recommendations because the board needs to have an opportunity to decide what's worthwhile from what we've looked at. But I just want to say it was a fantastic committee that really looked at how to ensure that ASA was a vibrant professional home for data scientists. And I also developed ASA Leadership Institute short course for the Statistical Expert Witness. So one of my initiatives that I put forward is continuing the development of this Leadership Institute. And so I have contributed to that directly through this expert witness course. And we've given it a few times. It was a wonderful opportunity to help bring more of our profession into this space. I do think it is an important contribution to society for those that know and understand statistics to speak up in any way possible about the proper use of statistics. Just in general, I'm just going to highlight sort of the blue ones. I was also very instrumental in developing the Caucus of Academic Representatives, and so this is basically all the leaders of the academic programs in statistics, data science, biostatistics come together and help, move sort of the academic world forward. And So I served as chair of this group, but I also helped start this group, and I really am very impressed with how it's evolved over the years, and now it's an integral part of the ASA fabric. I also helped start the Committee on Funded Research. It initially started out as federally funded research, but now it is was changed to just funded research, and again served as chair as well. But the goal of this committee was really to help increase the contributions or the opportunities for statisticians to receive funding for the research that they do. And so funding doesn't just come from the federal government, it also comes from foundations and other nonprofits. Okay, and if you'll notice that I definitely had significant involvement with both the section on the environment, business and economic statistics, and defense and national security, and then also contributing significantly at the local level, certainly in the mid-level of my career. And this very first one, this was when I was a graduate student. I actually served as secretary of the Southeast Texas chapter of ASA. So I do see statistics with a global perspective. I am currently on the National Academy's Committee on Applied and Theoretical Statistics, and I organize multiple workshops through this platform. And these workshops have actually guided my third initiative, which is the focus on urban analytics. So there was a workshop that I helped lead on data modeling and simulation for urban sustainability. And I also helped with the organization of machine learning for social programs, and then organized a late breaking session for data privacy at JSM. So these are recent activities. On the data privacy front, we also hosted a conference at Rice where we had leading voices from the census and the National Security Agency to discuss sort of the new climate for data privacy and how we should think about those things from a research perspective. I'm on the board of trustees of the National Institute of Pure and Applied Mathematics, so that's one of the NSF math institutes, and was part of the NSF conversation on harnessing the data revolution. And I am in conversations with leading officials in India to push data science forward in India. So what were my ideas? So first of all was I want to put forward this Leadership Institute, so continuing the evolution of the ASA Leadership Institute. And so that is really designed to help us grow in our profession. So, if you're a young ASA member and, you have career goals for yourself to be a leader in whatever profession you've chosen, can ASA provide training opportunities or development opportunities for you to grow as a leader? And I think, I think statisticians have unique abilities as leaders because we do generally think very broadly about problems in society and can bring a scientific vision to those challenges. Data science and AI. So the goals here, we really need to meet the professional needs of this community to ensure that ASA is a professional home for data scientists and those choosing to work in artificial intelligence. But I think there is also a role for ASA leadership to promote, to elevate the role of statistics in academia and government in the data science conversation. And then in industry, maybe a target would be to have more ASA members as program leaders in the industry, and how can ASA help facilitate these activities? From the urban analytics and the changing role of data privacy and use, there's new and critically important opportunities arising in this space. The current pandemic is just evidence of that. We really are a totally integrated global community. And, how can statisticians and help our communities function more efficiently? And I'm rolling that under the term urban analytics, and I understand not all the world is urban, but a large part of the world is urban. But it's not that I'm truly a rural kind of person at my heart. But what can statistics do and help with in this space? And I do think that ASA has an opportunity to take a leadership role here, and a leadership role among societies, among scholars, and both academia, industry, and government. And so again, reminding ourselves that we are ASA, and so I was just going to open it up for questions here. And let's see, that maybe I can go to the questions in the chat if there's any. There were some that were posted, but if you want to raise your hand and speak up and be heard, I'd be happy to not be the only voice heard. So let me just unshare my screen here. Anybody raising their hand, Sean? Looks like David is, maybe you could let David speak. David? Hi, David. How are you doing?
Hi, Kathy. How are you doing?
I am doing great. You holding up okay?
Oh, yes, absolutely. I am puzzled. Your background has the letters reversed.
I thought I switched it. Okay. Well, I'll have to switch it back. So, on my screen, they're not reversed. Isn't that interesting?
Oh, interesting. Okay. Well, that's an odd property. I was going to ask about the question I posted on the Google Doc.
Okay. Now, are they reversed now?
Now they're fine. Yes.
Okay, that's so funny because I reversed on my screen. This is interesting. So we haven't quite got the technology down. Okay, the question you posted on the Google Doc. So you want to repeat it, or you want me to repeat it?
Sure. I have been increasingly concerned over the years by the fact that the senior leadership in the ASA does not represent the Chinese American community. Our Chinese colleagues are some of the leaders in our field in every way, but there's never been an ASA president who is of Chinese descent, and I don't think that they're able to speak up loudly for themselves. And so I'm putting this forward now to see how you might try and open up the leadership to more Asian Americans.
Yeah, so I think that this is a
Sean, on my screen, Kathy is frozen, but you are not. Is Kathy frozen for you too?
oh wow, not sure what happened. Are we on? Can y'all hear me? David,
yes, we can hear you now.
Okay. So from all the activities that I'm involved with, there are always significant, vibrant, strong, powerful voices from statisticians that are of Asian descent. So the fact that there hasn't been an ASA president seems anomalous, because there certainly are leaders in our profession from that community. But with that said, I think that there are a couple of points to make to the community. First of all, when Barry was president, that was actually one of his initiatives, was really to push more leadership involvement from the Asian ASA community members. And there were several workshops at JSM to focus on development of leaders among this community. And then I was responsible for making committee appointments that year, and there was a definite try to push to get more involvement, because it's definitely true that to get to where you're a candidate for president of ASA, you have to have significant involvement, leadership involvement in ASA all the way through. And so we have to make sure that is happening. But I think that it is happening, and I know that when I voted this time. I've already voted. If you haven't voted, I'm still encouraging you to vote. But I made sure that I paid attention to that and did not have any implicit bias myself, just from a name that I was seeing. It wasn't sort of a name that I recognized. And so that's one issue that we can all do, is just to make sure that we're voting for the best candidates based on their contributions and qualifications. But with all of that said, I do think that there's really a continued opportunity for the Leadership Institute to take a significant role here, because I would like to see anyone in our profession that is interested and capable of being a leader to find that promotion, that development opportunity through ASA. And then I think it's probably just a matter of, I've never been on the nominations committee, so and I know that that's where the candidates for the board come from. So I've never been part of that conversation. As president, I might try to learn a little bit more about how that conversation goes on. I don't know. There might be a strong line between that committee and the actual sitting board, but there is no reason that there should be no reason that there's not a president from that community in our profession. And so I don't know. Happy to entertain concrete ideas, David, and do what I can to help. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Is that helpful?
Oh, absolutely.
Kathy, Carly had a question, and you have a question and answer post from Michael.
Okay, great. Okay.
I'm allowing Kathy. Unmuting Kathy.
Hello, can you hear me?
Hi, Carly.
Hi, Dr. Ensor. Thank you for your presentation. I just had a question. So I'm not super familiar with what each of the different board members does, but I was wondering, since you mentioned that you were vice president of ASA, I was wondering, how would your duties as president be different from what you did as vice president? And how did being vice president better prepare you to take on the role of president?
Yeah, I actually, after being on the board, and I don't know that it necessarily needed to be vice president, but I would actually advise that all presidents come from board members, because you learn a lot. And David, that goes back to your point. We need to make sure that we get a diverse group of people on the board. I think it would be hard to step into the president's role without having served on the board. I do feel better prepared, because I didn't, when I joined the board, I really didn't understand the scale at which ASA operated. I had my connections through it and highly valued ASA as a professional society, but I did not understand the extent of their impact. And that became very obvious through the efforts on the board. So the board really does drive sort of the direction of ASA. It doesn't take care of the day-to-day details, but it drives which ways we go. And as president, and all of the board has a voice in that direction. And so that isn't just a vice president or president voice, but the entire board. But as president, so what will be different is I do have this opportunity to name some initiatives that the ASA staff will focus on, so I can help advance these particular areas. And again, those are the areas that I've chosen are leadership, data science, and what I'm calling this urban analytics and data privacy. And so I will have a year of ASA staff attention to help move these efforts forward. And one of the reasons that I chose leadership is because that is actually was a point of focus of two previous presidents. And if you have new initiatives every time, then you don't necessarily, ASA is sort of bouncing around, but this will give us an opportunity to really solidify the Leadership Institute of ASA to the benefit of the ASA members and society as a whole. So that is one thing that's very distinctive about the role of president. Then also you have to give a lot of talks. including one big talk at JSM. So there'll be a lot of practicing for that. And but you do become a public voice for the American Statistical Association. And then another sort of real-time activity that takes place by the president is sort of these advocacy statements. So if you go to the ASA policy page, you will see where there have been statements on the evidence-based policy bill. There's been statements on the differential privacy of the census. There were statements on forensic science. So these are all statements around statistical issues. And the president will have a direct input to those statements into developing them, and as part of the executive committee, which statements go forward. As vice president, I was only on the executive committee 1 year, but as president, I'll be on more than 1 year. And but it will also be me signing those, or if I'm elected, it's the president signs those statements. And so these are statements that are going before Congress and wherever they're needed. So it really is an opportunity to help lead the organization, give the organization a powerful voice, and for the benefit of the members. And in my view, what we do is so valuable to society for the benefit of society as well. Does that help answer your question, Carly?
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for the question.
Okay, Michael Jackson had a question. I'm answering it live.
Okay.
Michael, you there? Allowed to talk, sorry.
Hi, Michael.
How you doing, Professor Ensor? Thank you for the talk. We really appreciate your time today.
Thank you.
So I think you mentioned it before, but where can students find out about the opportunities to help out in terms of the coping effort?
So there is I did notice on the connections page that there has been a interest group started on, or communication group started on the COVID-19. And so that would be a good place to plug in. There's so many activities that are going on around the nation. Probably a role that ASA may play is to just communicate out to its members. It's just not clear what would be helpful yet. But there are also opportunities through local universities and local communities to get involved as well. But I would recommend plugging into that chat for sure.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay. All right, other questions? I think there were a few questions posted on the Google page. Let's see if I can get to that. If people aren't on, then ask if anybody would like to ask them again. Let's see. I lost my Google page. I had it up, but then things went down. I lost it. So let me see if I can find it. So just so one of the other things, which makes actually one of the other things that the president does is they write the monthly Amstat News President's Corner. And so that will be, that's an opportunity of communication to the public, or to our membership. But I'm also thinking that maybe some of these webinars would be a nice way to communicate, where it's not just a one-way communication. Let's see, let me just see, it says, can you speak more about that ASA's advocacy role? I think that I've done that. K through 12 education is not mentioned in my initiatives. So let me speak to that one, because that's actually kind of important. So the reason that I do not have K-12 education in my initiatives is because I feel like it is ingrained within the American Statistical Association, as it should be. So it will just be a core part of what the ASA does and will always do. It was part of one of Wendy's initiatives, so there's been a big push over this in this current year in that space. But I am a total supporter of that effort. I just didn't feel like I needed to bring additional attention to it. Let's see. So there is a question of, do I see new opportunities for ASA to contribute to education? across the board, if we look at the impact of COVID-19, one thing that it's done is it's moved our entire educational system online. Okay, so I don't think we're going to all stay online, but it is going to bring about new opportunities for virtual education, and ASA as an organization will want to stay on top of that space and see where they can contribute. Certainly, Donna and I are going to offer our expert witness course online in a month or two, and so we're going to immediately take advantage of the fact that maybe people would like to participate in that course online. There is a question on here. Can I share details about the ad hoc committee on data science? And I think the answer is not at this time, because I don't want to preempt the board or usurp the year-long committee activity. I just will repeat again that it was just a fantastic activity committee, and I'm really proud of the report and recommendations that we put forward. And so we'll see what happens with them after the board reviews them. And maybe I'll skip that last question. It's a little too depressing. So are there other questions or discussion points? David, do you have anything you'd like to share with people that are on board here? Any chance?
I'm fine. This is great.
This is great. Okay. So thank you for everything you do, and please feel free to email me if you have any questions or just want to discuss things about ASA. And again, the takeaway message is vote. The second takeaway message, if you like what I say, vote for me. But I do just strongly want everyone to have their voice heard, and we have that opportunity, and we want to make sure we take advantage of it. And so I won't take up any more of your day, but I just want to encourage everyone to stay safe, stay well, and I've added a new tagline: stay sane. So that's my new personal tagline for today's global environment. And one thing we have learned is that we are fundamentally a community, a society of very nice people who are helping each other in many ways, and helping each other by social distancing as well. So anyway, I wish everyone the best, and thank you for participating today.
Thank you, Kathy.
All right, bye-bye.
Thank you.
And appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.